Hello, my name is Nightmare Fear Bottom, and this is my husband.
Tim, and we are attempting to start the second episode of our highly anticipated and much beloved
Neurospicy podcast.
Yes. So, what are we talking about?
So, I've had to deal with a lot of neurotypical people the last couple of weeks, and I've had to explain what the neurospicy brain is like. And I thought, why not explain it to the listeners as well? And since mostly statistically, in a couple, it's possible that only one person is neurospicy. It's quite rare that both of them are neurospicy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an attempt to explain to the neurotypical partner on how the neurospicy brain functions on most days, like 99.9% of the days. So that's why the topic of today's podcast is playing fetch or playing a game with multiple cats at the same time.
Yeah, throughout this podcast, I will be asking a few questions and asking my wife, do I need to say your name?
Nightmare Fear Bottom.
We're asking her some clarifying
Him is
questions.
fine too. I am non-binary.
Okay, well, that makes things simpler. But yeah, I will be asking
Or
them.
Himpler. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please go on.
This is what it's like talking to her on a daily basis. You never know what to expect or where the conversation will go. However, before we get started, as usual, I would like to remind everyone listening that we are not mental health professionals. So, whatever we talk about is our experiences only, and you should not take what we say at face value, always.
Or even with a pinch of salt.
Especially with a pinch of salt. It's not enough flavor. But yeah, take into account your own situation, talk to a therapist if you need it, and this is only just to give you some context.
Mm.
So, why the episode name exactly? What do you mean when you say playing fetch with two or multiple cats?
Not really fetch, but say with a string. So I've been trying to explain how the brain works on a day-to-day basis to a couple of people, and I thought this analogy worked best in trying to help them understand how it is. You've played with cats, right?
I have played with cats, yes.
So I want you to tell me what it is like to play with one cat, a
Uh,
cat.
so, when you have one cat, it's fun, but also it's an exercise in predicting behavior because the cat does not do what you want it to do. I mean, you can shake a string at it and it'll come running, and it might want to chase the string one moment, it might want to chase a ball the other moment, it might want to jump up the wall the next moment. So you need to anticipate what is going to stimulate this cat, right? And tire it out enough so that it will shut up and sit in one place and let you do your own thing.
Let you sleep.
Whatever it might
Mostly.
be. It's just anticipating what the cat might need in the moment. And that changes from a second to second basis sometimes because it'll
Right.
see a wooden spoon and get distracted. It'll see my strip of medicine and get distracted.
Right. Right.
It can be quite difficult to manage.
Right. No matter how hard you try to play with it, as in, it's a string toy, right? You dangle it in front of the face, and it does play with it for say 5 minutes. So how long do you think you can play with one cat, or how long do you think the cat is stimulated by the same thing.
So I can only speak for the cats I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Longest I've played with one of our cats is an hour and a half tops.
Mm.
Our cat loves playing fetch.
Mm.
So I would just sit on the floor and close all the doors into other rooms, and I would throw these little rubber balls we have, and it would bounce along the floor, and the cat would run after it and bring it to me, and I would throw it again. And we would do this for hour and a half.
Mm.
Good thing about our first cat is that if he enjoys one activity, he is more than happy to do that same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But given the choice, and things become complicated as soon as the choices are introduced.
Mm. Mm.
Because
Mm.
while running after the ball, he might see the carpet and decide, oh, fuck this thing today, I guess, and
I'm
start
going to
slapping it.
scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I
Or
guess.
just bite your shoe.
I guess the attention span of the cat depends from day to day, because you never know what kind of day the cat itself is having.
That's also fair.
Yeah.
Now, in this scenario, introduce another cat.
Oh God.
So now you're dangling a string in two cute faces.
Unfortunately, I have experience with these two because we have two cats, and they want to play all the time.
Mm.
Uh,
They're kittens.
yeah, they are, but yeah. So, two cats are never going to be the same. Their approach to play is going to be extremely different. What stimulates them is going to be extremely different. And what excites them in from a moment to moment basis is also going to be different. So you might want them both to play with the same string, but one cat might start playing with the string, get bored, and then bite the other cat who is happy to play with the string. And then they might start fighting each other. And then one of them might get distracted by a bird flying outside the window, while the other cat is like, why isn't this person playing with me?
And then they'll come to the human again.
Yeah. And all the while you are trying to predict the behavior of not just one, but two chaotic little gremlins, and trying your best to insert yourself in that situation where you can control the chaos. And because if you let them go, there's a chance they might fight, knock things over, and you want to minimize the damage. So you need to know the best time to step in, to stop them, to distract them with another activity, because that's important
Right.
when you're dealing
While
with
keeping
cats
them constantly
stimulated.
right.
Yeah.
Now, add another cat to the situation. And then another.
Oh God.
And then another. And then another.
Hmm.
What's it like?
I mean, in that situation, I don't think I'll get out of bed just to avoid the whole thing.
Wow. Okay.
Because it just sounds like an absolute nightmare. It sounds
Is
like,
it?
yeah.
I guess. I mean, I'm sorry. Yes. If since this is an analogy for how the brain works, yes, that is precisely why it's very difficult for us to get out of bed on most days. But I was just picturing too many cats and I got excited. And I was like, why wouldn't you get out of bed if there are too many cats?
That is a very good question.
I know.
And one I will need to prepare myself for.
Okay.
Because I also tend to get overstimulated when I see one cat. So if I see 10 at the same time, I don't know, I might have a seizure or something.
Oh.
Yeah. I lose my mind. Anyway, we're going off track here. Multiple cats is a nightmare because your brain is constantly working. Your brain does not get a moment to itself because you are juggling so many different things, because
Thoughts.
every cat is its own list of thoughts,
Yes.
right? And you're juggling multiple lists of thoughts
Right.
all at the same time,
Right.
trying to give all of them the same kind of attention.
Right.
And that either overwhelms you or it burns you out, or you need to take a step back and eventually find out that you get nothing done. It's a difficult way to live.
It's It's like driving a unicycle on a tight rope while juggling multiple balls while there is fire under your bum and someone is shooting balls at you.
And you see another person at the other end trying to cut the rope, just to add a little bit more anxiety
Right.
to get the thing done.
Right. Otherwise, we're not going to get things done.
No.
If there's no deadlines, we're not going to get anything
Mhm.
done.
And that enforces even more anxiety to get things done while being unable to prioritize which one you need to get done first, right? So, as an example, how does this manifest in day to day activities, would you say?
Uh, this is exactly how it is. You start playing with one cat, and then the other cat joins, and then now you're doing two things,
Hmm.
and then something else happens, and then something else happens. For instance, just the other day, I was doing the dishes. Not even halfway through the dishes, I realized that there was a black
Stain.
stain on the utensil.
Huh.
Probably from, probably soot that has been there for a while. But I couldn't get it off even with the metal scrub.
Hmm.
And so I decided we needed baking soda.
Okay.
I've seen so many of those videos where baking soda and vinegar works, but I know for a fact that baking soda and vinegar cancel each other out because one's acidic,
Acidic,
one's
one's
base.
basic.
Yes.
Life pro tips, people.
So I thought maybe baking soda might work, and baking soda nahi tha. Baking soda wasn't available, and I thought, we have lemons. If not basic, let's try lemons. I tried lemon because I remembered my grandmom used to use tamarind
Hmm.
in order to get rid of things. Again, another acidic thing, right? From there, it still wouldn't go. So I got frustrated. I let it be and I came away and I went on Amazon to see if I could get a little bit of baking soda. But while I was getting baking soda, I saw something else and then I decided, oh, hey, the cat's litter isn't as good as it used to be. So maybe we should try a different litter.
Hmm.
And then I went to see the kind of litter that we currently have, and then I saw something else on the office table that needed to be put away. So I I went to put that away, and then I found something that I had been looking for the last 1 week, and then I went to put it in its place because usually that's why we can't find things. We put things down, but we don't put them away in their place. So I went to put them away, and then I realized the cats had done something and I needed to clean it up. Once I was cleaning it, something else happened.
And
By the
this
end of the
is.
day, by the end of the hour, the dishes weren't done. I did not order baking soda. There is a half cut lemon on my counter that is probably still there somewhere to this day,
Hmm.
hanging around. And I don't think I ordered that litter either that day.
Um, do you think that, would you say this is a constant level of activity going on
Oh,
in your head? This is an everyday thing?
it's not just in my head, Shagnik, it translates to my daily life as
My
well.
name is Tim.
Oh, sorry, Tim. It translates to day to day functioning, which is why we don't function every day. We dysfunction every day.
Okay, so
I
you.
can't make a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I can't make a cup of tea for myself without getting distracted by two different things and finally getting to my tea when it's cold.
Hmm.
I don't think I've ever had tea in the temperature I want to have tea in.
Hmm. So if this is always going on in the back of your mind,
Mm.
okay, let alone getting things done,
Mm.
do you find that this affects, say, social relationships?
Social relationships, work. Work is one of the primary things that are that is affected by this. Relations obviously get affected by this. I grew up constantly hearing, why is it taking you so long to do this thing?
Mm-hmm. Been there.
And the elders aren't wrong, or the people in our life asking us that question aren't wrong. It shouldn't take you 2 hours to do 10 minutes worth of dishes. It should not. Uh, it should not lead you. So I wake up with a list of things to do in my head for the day. By the end of the day, I have 4 new lists, and my original list hasn't been completed either. So that, no, ideally, I don't think anyone should live with that.
No, I understand. And I understand. And for our neurotypical listeners who might not understand, because just hearing about it, you might not be able to imagine it. Suppose.
And sure, it might feel fake because, believe you me, I've had a number of one psychiatrist and a number of psychologists who have asked me, hey, why don't you just drink water if you feel thirsty? I'm sorry, but I don't get the cues that I'm thirsty. Or, hey, why don't you go and just finish doing the dishes and come back? It's going to take you 10 minutes and 10 minutes alone. No, in 10 minutes, I've gone through 10,000 thoughts. And it's going to take longer than 10 minutes. From very well-meaning adults and psychologists as well, and therapists as well, I've gotten advice. One that's very common is, if that task takes 2 minutes, do it right now. And that's a brilliant advice. I'm not going to lie. It has worked on a number of occasions. But on most days, the task that takes you 2 minutes does not take me 2 minutes.
Also, because I think as soon as you hear it takes 2 minutes, you think it's not important enough. If it can be done in 2 minutes, it can wait. And then you forget about it.
That is actually why I got the advice. Because I tend to procrastinate the more simpler tasks because it does not give me the stimulus I need. I've been told, don't think about it. If it takes 2 minutes, get it done blindly and be done with it. Brilliant advice. Absolutely brilliant. But it does not take me 2 minutes. Because you can tell me, oh, hey, here's a mug of tea that you've finished. Put it in the sink. Instead of putting it in the sink, rinse it and leave. Now you have fewer dishes to do. But once I go there, I'm going to find something else that I need to do. No matter how clean it is, no matter how everything else is in place, my brain will find something that needs to be done at that point. Because it's out of sight, out of mind for me. Which is why on most days when I don't feel like cleaning, I just stuff all garbage into our office room and close the door. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist.
You're just there sipping your tea like, I'll have to deal with that someday. But that day is not today.
Yeah, but it's not an active thought because I'm not seeing it, right? But then I enter the room and it's 3 days worth of work.
But before getting sidetracked, like I was saying, neurotypical people don't have this problem, right? They can get things done as and when they like.
Oh,
for the
did
most
you
part.
know this? Someone once told me that apparently it's not a struggle for all people to get up, brush their teeth, do their morning routine, for instance. It's not a daily struggle, apparently. It's not even a conversation they have in their head before going to brush their teeth.
No, I know.
And meanwhile, here I am trying to push myself, convince myself that, hey, the toothpaste tastes nice. Please go brush your teeth.
It was the same for me because when I was young and when I knew I had a routine to follow, say going to school, for example, and there were things I needed to do. I needed to get up, brush my teeth, do my toilet stuff, take a bath, whatever, eat breakfast, dress, comb my hair, get out. Those were a list of things. I was trained so well. I could do them without prompting, without anything whatsoever, as long as there was a structure and there were consequences to not following that structure. Consequences enforced by the adults.
I see.
Right? Now that we are the adults, consequences are in our hands. So we can wake up at 8 and be like, I can start work at 10 and then fall back asleep. We don't have that room, or rather, we have that room.
Additionally, because we both work from home and we're both freelancers, we don't really have to answer to a lot of people and we have our own schedule for work.
Yeah.
It makes things kind of worse.
Difficult. Yeah.
It also makes things easier for us because consistent structure also does not work for us. I don't know about you, but I can't do consistent structure.
No, it doesn't work for me either nowadays. It used to, but not anymore. I think I've somehow gone from neurotypical to neurospicy over my life. So I can understand both perspectives. But like I was trying to get at before,
I don't think that happens though.
I don't know either, but that has been my experience. I have gotten progressively worse.
Oh, I think it's just that your symptoms are coming out in full force, because if there's anything neurospicy about us, it develops before we're 11, 12.
Maybe.
And then it just gets progressively worse if it's not diagnosed and treated.
But regardless, for neurotypical people, the world is the same, right? Everyone is the same. Everyone can do things the same way as they can. There are no problems getting up and brushing teeth, right? So for a neurotypical person, if they spot, or rather I should take a step back, how would we go about spotting a neurospicy person in the wild?
In the wild? Oh, in the wild, it's... I've never had a problem spotting them because I personally, I'm a magnet to other neurodivergent people somehow. And mostly it's introverts who will not talk otherwise but will talk with me. I've been that magnet. And I've noticed that the easiest way to spot a neurodivergent person in the wild is having a conversation with them. Small talk, I don't know, it depends from person to person. I personally don't enjoy it. I find it asinine. But if you start talking to a neurodivergent person, you will notice that a conversation will never end. It will go into a tangent, which will lead into another tangent, which will lead into another tangent, and you will end up discussing everything under the sun, sometimes in a span of 10 minutes or sometimes over the course of 10 years via text. But a conversation will never actually end.
Can confirm. Also,
I don't know if that's a thing with neurotypical people though, but this is something I've noticed with neurodivergent people, and since most of my friends are somehow on the spectrum as well, I can't I can't deal with neurotypical people on a day-to-day basis.
how do you mean?
I don't understand them.
Okay.
As in, I cannot fathom how they function. And I find their lack of diversity in interests a little boring.
Okay, so let me simplify and translate. When you talk to someone,
What was I using corporate jargon? Why?
no, you were slow.
I see. Okay, sorry.
Um, now I forgot my train of thought.
I'm so sorry.
The train has left the station, people. Choo choo.
I was going to say choo choo too.
This is what I mean. When we speak, when we have a conversation, there are so many tangents leading to so many different topics that we don't even realize we have jumped off from the initial thing,
No.
right? And it's always interesting because we have to use our entire brain just to keep up with all the tangents.
Do we though? Because sometimes I notice that I have conversations on autopilot.
No, I can't do that.
Oh, okay. Sometimes I can have conversations on autopilot and then I have to think back about them. And then I wonder, oh shit, did I say that? Should I have said that? Was I inappropriate? Or, was it happens. For instance, just yesterday, I was talking to my doctor and he was saying something and I was saying something and he had a smug look on his face. And I said, why do you have that smug look on your face? And he said, I'll explain later. And then we kept on talking. This happened at 3-4 in the afternoon. And then around 8:30, I message him saying, hey, do you remember why you have the smug look on your face? I don't think you ever explained that to me. And then he said, this happened. And that's when I told him, I'm so sorry. For the life of me, I could not remember what we were talking about because I was having that conversation on autopilot. And it was a proper conversation. It wasn't like it was a half-assed conversation. I was answering him. I was listening to him. I was responding in time. But somehow, a major part of my brain was somewhere else. So this was going on in autopilot. And I was thinking about something else. So that tends to happen. A lot of times, in fact. For the listeners, the other day, Tim, said something along the lines of, you were right, XYZ happens. And I said, yeah, I know. And if exactly 5 minutes down the line, I go back to him and I say, hey, what was it that you said I was right about?
Because being right is all that matters, people.
That's not true.
Take some life lessons from me. Don't repeat my mistakes.
What was your mistake?
I don't know. Just giving advice. Let me be sage, okay? No one listens to my advice anymore. Anyway.
But yeah, it happens. I have conversations on autopilot sometimes.
You have conversations on autopilot. Do you have a cap for how many you're having at the same time?
What do you mean? Autopilot conversations or conversations?
Conversations. Like you'll be talking to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be talking about one topic 1 second, another topic the other second, all the while you have other conversations going on in your head. How do you manage? How can you manage?
It's like playing with multiple cats.
Hmm.
You know the temperament of each cat. You know how long each cat wants to play, what they like, what they dislike. So you treat them as separate entities, right? Similar in your brain as well. You have multiple conversations in your head while having another conversation in person with another person. They're separate things. It's like having multiple tabs open in your laptop. They're all functioning. You have Spotify running. You have your PyCharm running its code. You have Google searching for whatever bullshit hyperfixation you have at that hour. They're all working just fine.
But I am assuming this is a constant drain on your energy and resources.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So
Although I don't realize it happening, bless you, I don't realize it happening, but it supposedly is.
Um, I'll give you an example that you can use to illustrate your point, because I don't think the neurotypicals again will understand what having multiple tabs in your head open means.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, not to.
The extent,
I see. I
right?
mean, I'm sure a lot of people have multiple thoughts in their head.
Of course. I mean, that,
It's not just.
yeah, but the extent to which you are describing it might be a little difficult for people to imagine.
Fair enough. Fair
right?
enough.
So a couple of weeks ago, we had my cousin's wedding, and this is a cousin I was not in touch with for a while until late last year. You hadn't met him before, but you guys got along pretty well. You got along with his family pretty well too, and that resulted in you being pulled into a lot of conversations and things to do, and just to keep my cousin company and all that. Right. Usually, as a wedding guest, people wouldn't have to do any of this. As a family member, it would have been, they would have talked to me about it, asked
Yeah.
me to do all the things,
Yeah.
but they chose you,
Yeah.
which I'm very grateful for because I didn't have to do anything. But you were suddenly thrust into a world of people you don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who speak the language I am not entirely familiar with.
With customs you don't always understand because, again, Bengali
Or
customs.
remember, because we got married 2 years ago
Yeah.
and I don't remember what we did either.
Oh, God, no. Neither do I. So, walk me through how you were able to manage one small talk with so many people, because I'm assuming you had to talk to dozens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And being part of the family, it was your responsibility to make them feel welcome, ask if they're okay, if they need anything,
Right.
things like that.
Right.
Asinine conversations, as you said, but important ones regardless.
Right.
So you do this, you have
Just
to,
like the word asinine.
yeah, it's a good word. You do that,
Yeah.
you have to take care of my cousin's needs because he needs you by his side as a personal assistant throughout the day. More or less, right? You have to call caterers on his behalf if things go wrong.
I don't have to, but I was asked and I didn't mind.
Basically, I mean, you are being pulled into the role of a PA.
I wouldn't say that. So your cousin does not have siblings, and I didn't see other cousins apart from you, and I just felt like a little sister to him. He treated me like one, and I genuinely just wanted to be the little sister who's helping the elder one on his big event.
Yeah, my point being that you helped with a lot of things, right?
Ish.
You helped with a lot of things. It was a week-long affair.
It was a week-long affair.
Yeah, and you were there more or less every day from morning to evening, sometimes through the night.
Sometimes through the night, yeah.
How was your battery of energy through it all? Because I'm assuming the multiple thoughts didn't stop, the multiple conversations didn't stop, the tangents didn't stop. You thinking about what needs to be done next didn't stop. So how did you
They
fare?
sort of reduce in volume sometimes. Okay, let me try to start from the top. First off, I knew 2 months ahead of time that Dada was getting married, and it was going to be a 3 to 4 day ordeal. That's all I knew. So I was mentally preparing myself for worst case scenario of 4 day social interaction functions. But a couple of weeks before the event, Dada calls and says, संगीत का फंक्शन है, and we need someone to, not we need, but he asked if I dance. And despite absolutely loving the art form of dancing, is that the right sentence? Loving the art form of dancing?
The art form of dance.
The art form of dance. Loving the art form of dance?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Anyway, despite absolutely enjoying dancing, I decided not to do it because the entire family is going to be there and I just didn't want to do that. And then he asked if I would MC instead. There was another 19-year-old who volunteered to do it, the poor thing. And she just wanted some company. And I said, I'm fine with that. So when I went to sit down and find out what was happening for the Sangeet event, I understood a portion of the extent of what this marriage was going to be like, who's going to come from where, how many people will be dealing with, etc., etc. So I was slowly preparing myself for the event. And then when it actually started and I started meeting people, luckily I have a set of small talk algorithms, like I'd mentioned earlier, that I keep recycling. With elders, it's different. With my peers, it's different. With kids, it's a different set of algorithms. So I have them separated and I use them from time to time whenever I need them. Luckily, I was extremely lucky in this instance that all of Dada's friends, how many ever came down, I think there were at least 10 people who came down, more
More or
than
less,
that.
yeah.
All of them were fun to talk to, were welcoming of people, because this is a very close knit group. Especially, I think 6 or 7 of them, along with Dada, they're a very close knit group, and I was surprised, and it was a pleasant surprise that they were so warm and welcoming of someone from the outside. Granted, I'm assuming they thought, oh, she is family, so we have to treat her right. It could be possible. But even otherwise, they are the same age as I am, and I gelled pretty well with almost everyone, and I had good conversations. What I've noticed does not drain my social energy is having conversations I'm interested in.
Hmm.
So if it's small talk, it drains my energy. And I try to excuse myself from that situation with some asinine excuse. Sorry, but asinine is the word of the podcast. Like, I have to feed my cats, or hey, I see a bug on the food, I need to go. I don't know, whatever it is. I find whatever excuse it is that I can see and escape. But luckily, with Dada's friends, I had good conversations and it wasn't draining whatsoever. Elders, on the other hand, were kind of a little strain, but it's all right because I was already prepared for most of it. It wasn't a huge issue. On the other hand, at the back of my head, there was a lot going on because I had to constantly look over my shoulder to see if Dada was all right, because he is, in one way or another, a lot like I am, wherein we wear our emotions on our face. You cannot escape it. So it's so easy to tell when he's flustered, when he's anxious, when he's confused. All I needed to do was try to look him in the eye, and then he'll just give me a couple of instructions as to what he needs and I'll get them done. So that was one thing at the back of my mind constantly, ki I have to check in on Dada regularly. And then obviously his parents are extremely chaotic, so I had to sometimes sort of also lie at one point. So Kaku was playing chapri chop songs, for the lack of better words. I have no idea how to put that in English, but they're cringe songs basically. Kaku was playing. They were actually testing out the audio system, and Kaku decided to play those songs. And Kaki just told me to go and tell Kaku to reduce the volume. So I went and told Kaku, Kaku, I have two instructions from Kaki. One, don't play chapri songs. Two, reduce the volume. And then Kaku laughed. The guy taking care of the audio also laughed. I lied on Kaku's behalf. And I'm just glad for the rest of the day we didn't have to listen to any cringe songs. That's just how those days were. And surprisingly, I did not need a lot of time to recover. Usually, oh my god, after a 7-day ordeal, I will at least need an entire month to myself to socially recharge, find myself, find my voice again. Because in these 7 days, the voices in my head have reduced in volume. So,
Why is that?
because I need to listen to other people. I
Okay.
need to be present in the moment. I can't be in my head,
Okay.
right? So I have to reduce the volume. And sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not, because if I get hyperfixated on something, I can't listen to any external voices, and that has happened as well. But thanks to the people and a major thanks to the medicine I was on. I don't know if I should say this. No? Okay, my husband's nodding. So, okay, no, I'm not going to
We
say.
don't mention specific medication
Yes.
because I don't want that to be a solution for people who just want a quick fix.
Oh, I'm not going to mention the medication.
Still,
I just wanted to say what. Okay, never mind. It's all right. But the medication I was on sort of really helped me regulate my energy, so I am not too tired by the end of the day. And sometimes because I also needed to stay up the nights, it was nice to have my energy a little regulated, and going in knowing I'm going to be socially drained helps.
you say that you have trouble regulating energy on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
These
Because, I'm so sorry, because it's not it's not like I get my energy in a box and I can ration it out through the day. It comes in bursts. And it comes based on whatever is stimulating my brain, or whatever activity I did that gives me the dopamine to give me the energy to do the next set of tasks. So I have no idea when it's going to pop up, and I have no idea how much is going to pop up.
Do you have any idea how it's going to go out?
What do you mean go out?
Is it a gradual weathering away of the energy, or is it just gone in one
Oh, it depends
instant?
on what I decide to do with it. Sometimes I have a burst of energy and I decide I'm going to clean the house today. And when I say house, I mean the entire house, including the window grills, corners of God knows what. But sometimes I just get tired of planning and I never end up doing it. So I don't know what is going to drain my energy, because I have no idea how much energy it actually is. It is a burst of energy, and it feels like I can do a lot of things, and sometimes I can do a lot of things, but I don't really know how much I can actually do until I start doing it. And most of the times I just give up midway through because I'm tired, or because I started doing something and then I started doing something else. Sorry, I started doing something else, and now I have 4 tasks that I have begun, and that's it.
Speaking of tasks and not having the energy, most of the tasks we have to do are every day are quite banal, repetitive.
Mm,
Like say brushing your teeth, clean the counter, do the dishes,
mm,
things like that.
mm,
Things like that which are monotonous and repetitive, which give us no stimulation at all
mm, mm,
from doing them.
mm.
How does your energy fare when doing repetitive things? Like things you can't ignore.
Energy flare?
Fair.
Flare.
How
Oh.
does it work? How much can you get done?
Mm,
Do you feel a sudden drop in
mm.
it sometimes?
Depends on the day to day.
Hmm.
Um, Going back to the anecdote we were using, playing with cats. Uh, some days it's one cat, some days it's another cat. So it depends on what kind of cat I'm playing with that day, or what kind of cat I am that day. Um, it depends on day to day. Most days, I let's not say most days. Some days, I have just about enough energy to get the basics done and then sit down to work. Some days I don't have that energy because the voices in my head are so loud and I'm already anxious and overwhelmed before even getting off the bed. So I find myself reaching out to external voices when the internal voices are too loud to keep me centered. I find that body doubling helps. Luckily,
Explain what body doubling is.
um, body doubling is an action of having another person or a pet maybe with you that hovers around you while you do your task.
Hmm.
I find that it has been quite helpful. I've tried the um, playing playing cartoons in the background. I've tried playing music in the background, but I find body doubling the most helpful. More so for doing tasks that I'm not interested in doing, and it works with work as well. Just so the listeners know, just putting it out there for anyone who might need it, there is this absolutely beautiful Discord server for women who have ADHD, and there is a set of channels, call channels, uh, voice and video sometimes, depends on the kind of channel you're on, where you can get on call with whoever is on call at that hour. It does not matter. What we do is we stay on video, we put the phone next to us so we see that there are other people. They are doing their own thing and it helps you do your own thing. We're body doubling, may not be physically present right next to us, but at least the idea that someone else is also doing their work really, really helps. And I've found myself reaching out to the ADHD women Discord community so many times just to get the monotonous work that I need to do done. So that's how usually I try to regulate my energy. It's not really regulating, right? It's just coping and finding mechanisms to use whatever is in reserve.
Do you find
Does
that
that make sense?
it does? Again, it does to me.
Okay.
And you know how my brain works.
Right. That's not very helpful.
You're welcome. We have discussed how monotony is the enemy.
Yes.
What about doing things that we actually enjoy? Do you find that those tasks can replenish your energy reserves?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that work?
It gives you dopamine.
Hmm.
You makes you happy.
Hmm.
Once you're happy, you have all the energy in the world.
Hmm. So, has it ever happened to you that while doing something monotonous, you will feel drained and then you will have the need to immediately move to something that you enjoy doing
Yeah.
just to feel the energy come back so you can return to original task?
Oh, absolutely. Why do you think we play Skyrim for 2 hours
Hmm.
sometimes?
Because that
Or
is what I was getting at. Because the enjoyable thing
mm,
is enjoyable.
mm,
It is stimulating. It gives us the dopamine we need.
mm,
So we tend to get lost in it and forget the original task,
mm.
right?
Ha. Now Skyrim is a trap, is a time trap. What isn't is NFS Most Wanted. You do a couple of races, go around a couple of toll booths, will not take you longer than 20 minutes, and it's a good 20-minute break. And you go back to work. Or I've also noticed that annoying my cats helps. Because every time he wants attention, he can just come sit on my laptop. And every time I want attention, I just go bite his butt. Which, by the way, he has started to swat my face for.
I mean,
The
I
ingrit.
I would hope that someone swats your face for trying to bite their ass, but regardless.
It's so furry.
Uh-huh. This is why I don't take her to the zoo, people. This is exactly the reason why.
That's a little unfair.
How many times have you been to the zoo?
Once so far.
None. Okay.
What?
Yeah. I
We've no.
which zoo?
The zoo in Darjeeling. We saw the red panda and the snow
Oh,
leopards
right.
and the wolves.
Right. We have been to one zoo.
We've been to one zoo.
Okay. Um, but yeah, going to the zoo, seeing those animals definitely helped our dopamine, raised our energy for the day. So does playing Skyrim or NFS Most Wanted,
Or biting the cat's butt.
or biting the cat's butt for now.
Or back in the day when I was when I wasn't as much as a cat person, I found that okay, don't judge me for this, but
You know I will.
if you have a dog with a docile temperament,
Huh.
it helps if you put if you put their mouth in your mouth. Just open your mouth wide, put their mouth in your mouth, and just stay there. Because they do the same thing too. I've had couple of instances where the dog would just come, put their face very close to my face, and then open their mouth, and then sort of just engulf me like this, and just stay there. And it would be a transfer of energy from one way to another. It was very relaxing for the both of us.
Fuck kind of weird ass dogs did you grow up with?
Very docile ones, really.
Ah, my ass. They probably had their own mental trauma.
After that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've also found that finding cute things helps.
Mm.
Sometimes I try to look for aesthetically pleasing notebooks to buy. Oh, oh, what is this? What is that called? It's called some therapy.
Cute notebook therapy.
No, Baba. Buying things online.
Huh.
What is it called?
Buying things online.
No, it's called some therapy for some
I don't
reason.
know.
Commercial therapy,
Regardless, move on with
commerce therapy, e-commerce therapy. I don't know. I can't remember it for the life of me right now. But yes, buying useless things online gives a lot of dopamine. At the end of the day, we are irresponsible children with money.
Mm.
And I like buying Funko figures or books or stationery. Especially stationery. I love buying stationery.
Mm-hmm. And then losing it.
That's not on me. That's not on me.
If you love it, let it go. Is that
Yes.
the lesson here?
Yes, you'll eventually find it
Fucking
somewhere in
just.
some corner in the house.
But going way back
Going way back.
to
I'm
tasks.
so glad you're taking charge today.
Yeah, I have to. It seems like the energy that we get from or lose from activities, varies throughout the day depending on what we're dealing with, what kind of coping mechanisms we have to deal with it.
And how we just woke up that day.
Yeah. So we have no idea what we are going to have to work with on any given day. Um, so if you are, say, trying something new that day, and it can be something you like, it can be something that is draining also. For example, me, when I had to learn how to code, for example, I found it absolutely draining. I hated doing it,
Okay.
and it wasn't fun for me, so I didn't do it. On the contrary, when I learned Italian, it was extremely fun for me. And I got it done so quickly, to the point where the teacher himself was surprised. How do you think having something you enjoy, and do you think that there is a chance that we might get addicted to the dopamine rush from only doing that thing and not doing anything else? Would you say that is how hyperfixations work?
Uh, I am not entirely sure because I personally tend to get bored of something once I know how it works.
Hmm.
So so far, this is my day 32 of learning a new language on Duolingo. And it is an incredibly difficult language to learn, which is what is keeping me on my feet every day. But once I get the basics down, I am afraid I will not be as consistent. Same thing with whatever I get hyperfixated on. I tend to learn things very quickly. Sometimes overnight I can master a tool. A tool.
Told.
Tool. Tool. Sorry. Yes. But it comes with its own set of cons, and that is I don't want to use it anymore. It's not the, it's not exciting anymore. It's not I'm not learning anything new from it anymore, so it gets boring. So I am not entirely sure how to answer that question because I've gone in tangents in my head and I've forgotten the original question.
How do you think hyperfixations work then?
Rabbit holes. You get interested in something and then you avoid everything around you. Social cues, time cues, body cues, because you literally, physically, and when I say literally, I do not mean figuratively, I mean literally, cannot think about anything else. For a change, your brain only has one loud voice, and that is constantly asking questions to understand whatever it is you are hyperfixated on currently.
And can hyperfixations be positive and negative?
I'm sure.
Has that been the case for you?
Um, I don't think I've ever had a negative hyperfixation. As in, I don't think
That's
I've
nice.
ever learned anything that I've regretted learning. Sure, there's a lot of information I wish I did not know, but I don't regret learning it. But if I had to say, the disadvantage of this is that it affects my day-to-day function, which means for the next day or week, however long the hyperfixation is, I cannot function. I forget to eat. I refuse to eat. I procrastinate having to go to the bathroom. If more so if it's on the laptop that I'm doing my research, or if I'm physically elsewhere, it tends to take a toll on my health, and I've seen it take a toll on my health quite often. So that's probably the negative of getting hyperfixated. Especially as someone who has gastric issues. And again, gastric issues because I don't register the cues that my body is telling me I need to eat. So
while you are hyperfixated on something, are there conversations going on in your head?
oh yeah.
They are, but you just don't
Because
register them.
no. But these conversations are related to the hyperfixation, right?
No.
I'm sure there are other conversations also going on in the back of my head ki, listen, you are actually hungry, you need to eat. Your bladder's bursting, you need to go pee. You have to feed the cats. You have this thing you have to do with your mother-in-law, whatever it is, that there are things going on in the background, but I am willingly or unwillingly ignoring them. Additionally, there are conversations happening in my head to process all this information, this info dump that's happening, and further voices asking tangential questions to make sense on the whole of the topic. So absolutely, I mean, voices are voices.
What happens when you step out of the hyperfixation? Do all these things that you've been ignoring for the last 3 or 4 days just hit you all at once?
Jesus, yes, it does. It's a crash. It's a crash of energy. It's almost like getting out of the adrenaline rush. It's a crash of energy, and I've suddenly registered that I haven't drank water in 2 days.
Not a hyperbole, actually. I've seen her do that.
Yeah. Like I said, it does take a toll on my health. And for the next couple of hours, hopefully, on the lower end, I'm debilitated. I cannot do anything.
Because you're processing everything?
Because I'm processing everything, yes. And also because there's so much in my head that I'm paralyzed. Can't do anything. Much like, honestly, much like most days. It's not like a hyperfixation I need a hyperfixation to paralyze me. Honestly, if I have too many things to do at the same time, I'm paralyzed and I do nothing, or I just stand in the middle of the room trying to go in two different directions at the same time. Or sometimes I just drag you along just to wash my face. So I have a body double to do one thing at a time. Just try to center my thoughts.
So you've lived with this for as long as you can remember?
For as long as I can remember, but I'm only in the last year or so, almost 2 years, have I actually been able to pinpoint and find out that this isn't what a lot of people actually go through. I thought everyone went through this.
So would you approach people and talk to them as if they were also having 500 conversations?
Absolutely.
How did that go with neurotypical people?
Not very well, because you're either deemed as the weirdo, or even if a lovable weirdo is still a weirdo, or someone who can't be part of normal society.
That bad, huh?
Bitch, please. I kept hearing that from my own mother. I heard that from my mother like less than a month ago. She asks me, why do you have to be so different? I am sorry, mother. I have no idea.
Should tell her it's a phase.
It's a phase, it's a 31-year long phase.
um,
Why do you have to be different? Like, I don't know.
it's never a choice, though.
It's not. It's like asking a gay person, why are you gay?
Mm-hmm.
It, I
Do you find
flabbergasted.
that? Do you find that neurotypical people are usually accommodating of this once you explain it to them?
It depends on the person. You occasionally find the dick who's going to bully you, but more or less, also because I was diagnosed pretty late,
Mm-hmm.
and by that point, I already grew a lot of masks on how to be normal in the public, in social gatherings. So, people who meet me may think I have OCD, but it is just a mask for my ADHD. It's just me trying to be normal.
Trying to be normal, huh? And trying to be normal is it's in itself such a complex cat to play with, because not only that in itself is a guessing game of 500 different things. Oh, what would a normal person do? What is normal?
True, normalcy is also very subjective.
It's a spectrum.
It, it is, it is, it is.
Um, as we start to slowly wind down, I have a few questions that I would rather clarifying questions.
Okay.
You and I live together. We are both neurospicy. Okay, I exhibit some of the same things you go through. How does that affect our communication from your perspective?
So, obviously, this dysfunctional thought process translate into conversations, right? This is one of the first things I said. That's how you spot a spicy person in the wild.
Yeah.
When we have conversations, I love having conversations with you, by the way, because
Same.
both of us go in so many interesting tangents, or at least interesting to us, that we always learn something new about the other person and from the other person. And it's refreshing to have a conversation with you. And we have the same bottom of the barrel sense of humor. We don't need a lot to giggle. It's fun. Where I find it most disturbing and affecting is when we have an argument or when a conversation turns into an argument. So, since we go on so many different tangents, we also end up having multiple conversations at the same time.
Yeah.
And sometimes my brain has moved on to a different tangent while you are somewhere else.
Yeah.
And suddenly we're on different frequencies. So that can lead to an argument.
Misunderstandings, arguments,
Right. Right.
it can make the other person feel that, oh, he's not here in the moment. He's somewhere else. I'm not important enough to pay attention to.
Right. Especially if you have anxiety, that's the spiral you go down.
Yeah.
In our fights, we have two very different responses to conflict. You shut down while I spiral. It is
not the best combination.
Such a beautiful combination. Because I need to hear an external voice so I can stop internally spiraling. But you are internally spiraling, so you have externally shut down as well. And I think our fights are very difficult to have. Very
Work of arts.
work of art.
Works of art. I think that one thing that we talked about before, not today, but in general, when we do have a fight, it's like another conversation wherein there are 500 tangents to follow.
True.
Yeah. So you are making your point, I am making my point, and somehow all of those things get lost because we aren't talking to each other.
We're talking at each other.
Because we know that in the next second we will get distracted by what the other person is saying and we won't make our points.
Right. And we also respond to what the other person is saying, and the main issue that actually began the fight sort of gets pushed under the rug.
Yeah. And we never end up dealing with it.
We never end up dealing with it. What I've also noticed is sometimes, say I come to you with a problem and you tell me how you look at that problem from your end, and we try to find a solution as to how to solve that if it occurs the next time.
Yeah.
And either you or I approach this issue the next time as discussed previously. But the problem with that is that each of our fights are so subjective. And there's so many variables involved that the same approach is not going to work. And also, it won't work because we did not actually cater to the issue at hand. We dealt. It's like taking medicine for the symptoms and not the disease itself.
Right. The root cause remains.
Root cause remains.
And somehow forgotten about.
Oh yeah,
Because
because out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, because talking to each other is so enjoyable. It's our own hyperfixation. We can spend hours talking to each other, days, and not do anything else around the house. Right?
That's one of the things I've heard multiple times. My mother-in-law, your mother, tell people, her friends, our other family members, that these two sometimes will never come out of the house.
And what is there outside that is exciting? Or rather more
Because we
exciting
can
than you.
spend days on end with each other without getting bored.
Yeah. And because it is so exciting, because it is so stimulating, we kind of subconsciously don't talk about the issues
We don't. No.
because it is not exciting. It is not enjoyable. So we often tend to ignore it. No dopamine there, right? It's like doing the dishes. It's like small talk.
Right. With that, I thought maybe marriage counseling might help, because sometimes we need a third sane person to regulate our conversations.
And to point things out. Point things out that we have overlooked or just run over in our mad rush. I was
We're
about
yet
to
to find a very
one that vibes with us.
a marriage counselor that vibes with us.
Yeah.
But
We yet to find the right one.
yeah, I've seen it work for others.
And it's somewhat worked for us too.
It did.
It's somewhat did. We just didn't find the right one to
We went 3 sessions.
3 sessions.
3 sessions, and by the third session I had enough.
Yeah.
But whatever little she had given worked, pushed us in the right direction, but I did not like where we were going, and I felt like we weren't dealt with the way we should be dealt with as adults.
Yeah. It was very infantilizing.
Yeah, it was.
Because another thing that neurotypical people do, and not, I hope not on purpose, they treat us like children. Oh, you can't focus, sit down for a while, I'll talk slowly so you can understand.
Yeah, that's so condescending.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
It does happen a lot.
I mean, sometimes I need that, but you don't have to do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when I need that done.
Yeah. I will ask you to repeat yourself.
Yeah.
I'm used to doing it in classrooms. Fuck you.
random burst of annoyance.
Yeah, like you said, there is little to no emotional regulation.
That is there too. We have no regulation whatsoever, be it energy, be it emotion. There is very
It's
little
extremely
regulation.
difficult to filter. Extremely difficult.
And as we get older, it gets even more difficult to filter because we kind of have fewer fucks to give.
Yeah. For example, at the wedding, I stayed out of most of the socializing
Yep.
because I know myself, I am not built for it. I will end up saying something that is going to be problematic.
Mm.
And I do not want to jeopardize my cousin's relations.
Mm.
If it were mine, very different ballgame.
Mm.
Even so, when meeting one of the bride's friends,
Mm.
I found out that she is currently a teacher at the school I attended when I was innocent little lad.
Mm.
And as soon as I heard it in my mind, I associated her with my friend group, and the conversation just devolved into one swear word every other word.
Mm.
And I couldn't imagine doing that to a stranger.
Right.
But at that point, she stopped being a stranger
Right.
in 2 minutes of conversation
Oh,
because I had that bridge connecting the two of us.
absolutely.
And that is something else that happens to us because we hate small talk,
Mm.
because we talk
Despise it.
about so much in such great depth. We pull other people into that,
Yeah.
and then we get to know them and we form lasting bonds with them.
We do, we do, we do. All the people I've met in Dada's wedding, I have become very good friends with. And hopefully, and I intend to, stay in touch with them.
Mm.
Again, it's very difficult for me to stay in touch with people online because out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
But, and also because I'm not very active on social media
Anymore.
anymore.
Mm.
Sometimes I can go months without going there. So it can happen that for 5 to 6 months you'll not hear from me. Yeah, you'll have to check in to see if I'm alive.
Mm.
But now I think since we're regularly putting out these podcasts, people will see me put them out, and I'll have to go online. Have to go online, but otherwise, it's
Yeah,
difficult.
it is difficult.
And it's difficult because we've made that bond. We like that person.
Mm.
It's not that we're ignoring them.
It's just not the cat we woke up with that day.
It's just not the cat at home,
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of which, now that we are back on cats,
Mm.
the whole playing with multiple cats thing is something that we have to constantly live with.
Yes.
How are some ways that you think help you
Hmm.
manage multiple cats, if any?
If any.
This is a complex issue to solve.
It, you're asking me what kind of juggling are you going to do today,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So it depends on day to day,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And in I've learned one coping mechanism and use it to this day, uh, which is, I wouldn't call it meditating
Mm.
because I cannot meditate for the love of me, but it's counting backwards with each breath, and you count backwards so your brain's a little stimulated. 1 to 3 is very easy. 3 to 1 can get a little difficult based on where you start and end.
Mm.
If you want to make it a little more complicated, do the alphabet backwards
Oh God. Okay.
or do the tables, whichever table you like,
Mm.
backwards.
Mm.
Fun, isn't it?
Mm.
So with each breath, you count down, and that sort of, instead of instantly putting me in a state of overwhelming anxiety as soon as I wake up, it gives me a moment to breathe, first of all. And in that, because I do it every day, I now know the alphabet backwards, for instance. And so I don't have to actively think about it. So the voices come back. So you do have to do newer things, more difficult things to keep your brain actively on this task. But even then, it's not possible to 100% be on the task. There is a portion of your brain that is going to think about the things that you have to do today, the things that you did not finish yesterday, tasks due, interactions due, people that I haven't responded to in messages that I probably should soon enough, things like that. So that, whatever, however long I do it for, doesn't last over 30 or 30 seconds or 1 minute. In that 1 minute, I kind of try to understand the cat I am playing with that day, so I know what coping mechanisms to put into my arsenal. It's like picking your spell slots for the day. So if it's one of those days where my brain is too loud, I know that Bob's Burgers is going to play in the background, or Futurama is going to play in the background, or Archer is going to play in the background. The whole day, the whole bloody day, it's going to play in the background. Or else, I know that sometimes I need a body double. So I just drag you along with me, or I go on Discord and use the channels that we have. So this, yeah, I think that's my answer. It helps to understand the cat you are playing with that day. But in order to do that, you have to understand the many cats that you have first. That's more important. I think it takes a lot of introspection. It takes a bunch of therapy, and it takes a lot of accepting yourself.
That's the hard part.
It is difficult.
Well, it is difficult, which means it's a challenge, which means it should be a stimulating adventure.
It is.
Should you choose to go down that road.
It is.
We wish you luck.
Is there anything you want to say to the neurotypical partners of these?
Be patient. Be patient, try to understand, give them their space.
Give them their space. First off, yes. In the mornings, in the evenings, give them their space. And sometimes in the mornings, I wake up with so many things in my head that I am hyper in the morning. I can hear the anyway, so I guess the neurotypical person kind of has to roll with the punches.
Yeah. It's going to be a new adventure every day. And don't feel obligated to always be the partner. You do deserve your own space.
Yes.
And just because your partner doesn't understand how you function doesn't mean you should sacrifice how you function all the time.
Absolutely.
You need your own recharge. You need your own activities. So it's always a balancing game.
Right.
Choose the hills you want to die on. If it's absolutely necessary, set it up beforehand. Like tell your partner, hey, whatever chaotic bullshit you're going on.
Oh, you're still talking to the neurotypicals.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever weird bullshit you're going to go on today, do it in that room.
I don't have the bandwidth for it today.
Yeah. Let me just do my own thing today. And that is fair. That is absolutely fair. You just need to be able to communicate it. And do it knowing that you're not doing it to hurt each other's feelings.
Right.
It takes a while, but building that trust is definitely worth it. And it'll help your relationship weather a few storms that it otherwise would not survive.
True.
I guess that's about it for today.
Yeah.
We have covered a wide range of topics. We have played with a few
lot of
different cats, which, is always fun.
Yes.
We are going to go home now to our own actual 2 cats.
Yeah.
So Yeah, until
That's
what?
that's Tim and Nightmare Fear Bottom signing out.
There you go.
Please like, share, and subscribe whenever we put this out. And let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you guys go through. Because at the end of the day, these are our personal experiences, and we know that there are way too many spicy flavors out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Let us know how you feel. If you ever feel alone, please don't reach out to me because I have no social energy, but do reach out to a therapist. And I mean this with all the love in my heart for you.
You deserve
I'm
it.
not the person to reach out.
Yeah. We can barely help ourselves, people.
Yes, yes. So, yeah,
Yeah.
reach out to a therapist. Much love.
Yeah. Bye bye.